Greetings, I'm the Political Ferret. Let's talk about the Horseshoe theory. First of all, it's not a theory. It's an illustration. The horseshoe illustrates that the left-right continuum is not linear, but bends towards another. The picture got some popularity with Jean-Pierre Fay, and well, he's not a scientist, so you can't put the burden of using the scientific method on him. But we can do that for him. So obviously, there are no axes on this by default, like with the political compass, for example. So what does this bending mean? What's the point where the right and the left extremes come together? For Jean, it was populism. But I think that's not true, and it's not only not true, it's absolutely ludicrous if you think about it, because the middle can be populistic. And what is populism? Populism is the idea that the masses are screwed by an elite. The populist parties portray themselves as the voices of the masses, while those parties who consider themselves not populistic are portrayed by the populists as the voices of the elite. And they often have a point with that. I mean, the Marxists, 100 years ago, they were quite populist until they found out that the average worker won't die for them in their glorious revolution. So they formed their own little elite and started to hate the dirty blue-collared worker. But that's the way. So what's the difference between the middle and the extremes? Well, first of all, the middle is not between the extremes. It's an extreme for itself. And this is the most important thing we get out of this picture. The middle is not the part of politics that has not decided yet if it wants to be right or left. It is a position for its own. And the way from the left to the center or the right from the center can be far away than the way from left to right. But what is this bending? What is this y-axis? Well, I have three interpretations for that. First, it's tolerance towards other political positions. Secondly, it's the ability to adjust the worldview based on reality. And thirdly, it's about the ability of accepting being wrong. And a little disclaimer here, I mean, that's just my interpretation and I'm just another blogger on the internet, so I can be completely wrong with that, but I haven't found a better solution to this question and not a better satisfying answer. But if you have one, share it in the comment section. Okay, basics. I touched this topic in my video about the strengths of the political compass. Your tolerance regarding politics, and this is the green area in this picture, will most likely go as far right as it goes left. And up and down if you stay with the political compass. But let's go to the easy one, to the classical right-left system. Again, say you are in the center and you will accept as much as this. But if you're on the edge, say on the left edge for this case, there is not a lot of space to the left. And this might reduce your tolerance you have overall. You see, your tolerance is not really a result of your position. Your position is a result of your tolerance. Don't think in points, think in ranges, from this to that, or from this is the most right-winged position I would accept, and this is the most left-winged position I would accept. And in the middle of that, that's your personal center. The hardcore extremist reduces, of course, his tolerance to his own standpoint, with no tolerance whatsoever. People on the edges don't see alternatives. They see one solution and one way of life and very, very, very little space to deviate from that. This can be true for the center too, no question about this, but it's just more likely that someone with a more centric position will accept more to his left and to his right as an extremist on the edges of the spectrum ever could. So, the first interpretation of what we have seen so far. The bending can be an indicator for tolerance. The middle is just in a better position to be tolerant than someone who is on the edges. And this leads to one of the biggest strengths of the middle, that is also its biggest weakness. If you are in the middle, you will have a tendency to accept that you were wrong, and you will admit it. And that's something the extreme on the left or the right will never do or can never do. So let's go to the second interpretation. Let's say, for example, the position of the left would be that it's always sunny, the right position would be that it's always rainy, and the centrist position is, hey, just look in the sky before you talk. Extremists will try to bend reality so that their ideology still fit. That means that the left would say, we need a government-financed light and giant umbrella system, and the right would say, no, we need a government-financed plane drop water on your head system. While the center just adjust its view. I mean, and that's a real big problem, because the right and the left would always say, hey, look to the center, they say something different every day, you can't trust them. So let's go to the third interpretation, and this has to do with being wrong. The extremes hate it to be wrong, and the center doesn't care that much. If a centrist is wrong, he will say, whoops, the facts aren't true anymore, I changed my position. Extremists, on the other hand, see this as a weakness. As I mentioned before, oh no, he said yesterday something completely different, he moves like a flag in the wind. Yeah, so what? The centrists will say, hey, come on guys, I use an umbrella when it's raining and I stop using it when it's not. If there is a problem and the left-wing solution seems to work better, I go with the left position. And if the right works better, I go with the right. Where's the problem? The centrist will take a position to the left or the right based on what he wants to achieve. And that makes him to a right-winger in the eyes of the left and vice versa. Because they can't understand the simple fact. Fools are right sometimes and wise men can be wrong. If you believe, and that's the central word here, believe, that there is a person, a book, or an idea that is always right, never wrong, and will lead only to good stuff, you are not in the realm of politics anymore. You're a believer then. Being wrong is a nice thing. I mean, there is no better way of learning. Accepting that you were wrong is also a good thing, because this builds character. And saying that you were wrong is absolutely the best of all, because you just don't only tell the world your new position, you tell them that you have explored a different position before and found weak spots. And that's a very important information. The whole Western culture stands where it stands because of that. This is the big difference to more or less all other cultures. The West accepted at some point that being wrong is an option. The radical SJWs fetishize that and say that everything in the West is wrong per se, because the West admits that it made quite some mistakes. But I mean, who never made a mistake? But the fact that no other school of thinking is able or willing to do that is not really a good indicator to say that they are flawlessly right in everything they do. So I hope this video made some stuff clear and sparked some discussions, and as always, consider liking, subscribing and sharing, and have a wonderful day.